Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome once again. Welcome to this new segment of my podcast called Care Conversations with Miss Trina. See, I had to use my sexy voice. Anyway, Care Conversations. Like I said, I'm your host, Miss Trina, a caregiver, advocate, and someone who's seen the front lines of in-home care, nursing home care, hospital care, type A, B, and C facility care. I'm talking about up close and personal. I've been a CNA, I've been a caregiver since I was 16 years and 6 months, and I am very proud of that. Yeah, I could have pushed to become an RN. Yeah, I could have pushed to become more than what a CNA is, but whether you know it or not, a CNA is much more than what everybody thinks that they are. And that's the truth. We wear 1,000 hats. We cover 1,000 emotions in an 8-hour shift, sometimes in a 12-hour shift. But that's what we do. And that's the skill that we were blessed with, and that's the one that we don't mind using. So, with that being said, let's get into today's episode, okay? Today's episode is called The Hidden Curriculum. So I want all of my young CNAs that's just now breaking into this business, I want y'all to listen up, because this is actually for you guys. Even if it's private duty, like in-home care, nursing home care, whatever it is, hospital, don't matter. This episode right here is for y'all, because if you're just now getting into it, this can help you. But if you've been into it, you're gonna be like, really? But yeah, because that's basically what it is. I'm here to shed light on all things in-home care and all things nursing, and in a compassionate, real, and sometimes a very raw way. I have had a couple of comments about, the way I speak when I'm speaking on a certain subject, because I'm just compassionate about that. So don't take it personal or whatever. If it sting you the wrong way or hit you the wrong way, please don't take it personal. That's just the way I am. Raw, and I'm just real, and I'm gonna tell the truth the way I know it. So with that being said, this, what I call the hidden curriculum, is, these are the lessons that we were not taught at all, but somehow we learned in this beautiful chaos that we call caregiving. It's the unofficial syllabus that nobody hands you, but life is going to test you on a daily. Okay? So, and if you ever found yourself Googling answers or something like that in between brief changes or midnight meds or deep sighs in the car, you in the right space, baby. Very much so in the right space. Now, the unofficial job title, for real, it's an unofficial job title. I mean, no, we CNAs, don't get me wrong. We caregivers, don't get me wrong. That is the the job description. But see, we also have another job to do, and I'm gonna get into that right now. So, first of all, caregiving is not just about helping people, okay? It's being the everything person on days when you can barely feel like yourself. And that's the truth. Like, you can clock in for work. It's probably not be the day for you, or whatever, but you still show up. And what we feel cannot show on our face. What we feel cannot show through our body language once we clock in. Because all of our problems are to be checked at the door. You leave that home stuff outside. You leave all that out there on the curb. Because once you come through these doors, where these patients or these residents are, these people are your main focus. And that's where your head have to be at all times. So, like I said, So, like, okay, you're a nurse, right? But you don't have no scrubs. You a counselor, but you ain't got no couch. You tech support whenever they tablet or their phone don't work. A spiritual guide when somebody is asking, why me? You know, it's wild. But when you go back to actually look at the syllabus, our curriculum, none of those four things, none of those four people that I mentioned are mentioned in there specifically, but we have to learn to be these people also. You know, giving compassion and taking care of the people who need us most. Now this is a story that I have to tell you, though. I had it wrote down, so I'm going to probably be reading from it, but I'm just going to let you know. Okay, Miss Bernice. Now, I remember her. She's 93 years old with a memory that played peekaboo on Tuesdays and Fridays. For real. She had that PRN dementia. You know, she'll use it whenever she needs it. Let me say it like that. So one day she asked me, she said, Miss Trina, do you think the moon missed people when it was full? And I'm looking at her like, ma'am? And just like that, my role shifted from caregiver to cosmic conversations. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I switched from the caregiver to somebody that she want to talk about the cosmos with. You know, I ain't no astronaut, but you can't do nothing but entertain the fact. But tell the truth while you entertaining the fact. You know what I mean? Just tell the truth. If you don't know something, you could probably cut that conversation in the bud and it probably won't go no further. You know? But just like I said, just entertain the fact, okay? But truthfully, I wasn't trained for that. I wasn't trained to be a cosmic conversationalist, you know. But in that moment, you know what I'm saying, when she said it, I couldn't help but lean in, like, what? You know. So caregiving, though, caregiving teaches you how to listen to what's not being said, how to see past symptoms and right into the story. Like, for real, when she was asking me those questions and I'm listening attentively, I'm trying to answer her the best way I know how. When she asked me about the moon, she wasn't really asking about the moon. I dug into the conversation. I had to dig into it to ask her questions. And you know what I found out? You know what she really wanted to know? What was my sign? Okay? Had a 30-minute conversation about the planets and the cosmos and outer space and the moon and the sun and the stars. And the only thing she wanted to know is what my sign was. You see? I mean, Lord forgive me. Every time, I'm not going to say sometimes, I'm not going to say at times, I'm talking about every time the elderly asks you a question. So go ahead, lean in. You'll find out some good stuff. Just lean in. Everything going to be all right. Now, the emotional labor. Now, that's what I want to talk to all you young ones about. The emotional labor. Now, this is the weight that you can't clock out from. Now let's talk about the part that don't nobody put in the care plans. Okay? The emotional residue. Let's talk about that. This ain't a job you leave at the front door. You carry it. You carried it in your chest. You carry it in your silence. In the dreams where you still checking the car light between checking the car light that wasn't even ringing. It's all in you. It's all through you. This CNA job, this caregiving job that we all love so much. It's all through you. And I'm guilty of that. Being sleep in the middle of the night and hearing the cowbell go off, thinking I'm hearing the cowbell go off. I mean, who haven't had that happen? Who haven't had that happen? You know, especially when you have a demanding resident, though, for real. Yeah, you gonna hear them call lights. I was at lunch. I was way at the KFC trying to get me some chicken. You know what I'm saying? Little old 2-piece, mashed potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Nothing too, but I'm way at KFC. Now KFC is 4 miles away from my job. Tell me why when I'm sitting in the parking lot eating my food in my car, I heard a cowbell go off. I'm talking about no, about to go back to work, baby. If I don't tell you, I finished that chicken. I sure did, baby. I was hungry. You know what I mean? But seriously, I'm hearing cowbells go off. That's wild. But there was a time when I cared for somebody who reminded me so much of my own grandmother. I'm talking about, she had the same smile, she had the same laugh. I'm talking about, she was my girl. She reminded me of my big mama. Okay? She was a clubber. She was a card player. She still had that kind of like, that zest for life in her, like she just wanted to go and do. And that's the way my big mama was. For real, my big mama was something else. She really was. So, with that being said, I took care of Miss Bernice for like 3 years. And she wound up passing. And when she passed away, that hurt me so bad, because that was my friend. That was really my friend. Miss Bernice was too cool. So it just felt like I lost my big mama all over again. And that was a hurting thing for me. Because, when you in nursing, you can't help but to feel. You know what I mean? You can't help but to feel for people. Because trust me, if you don't, you in the wrong business. For real, you might as well go sell cars or something. Seriously, you can't help but feel. And if you're a compassionate person, the way I am, then yeah, you'll feel you'll feel different. For real. But guess what though? I still showed up. That was the first debt that I had to deal with when I first got in nursing. Now, mind you, when I first got in nursing, I was 16 years and 6 months. I am so proud of that. But, to be that young and to have that kind of compassion, about a situation or a person, is a good thing. And that was instilled in me through my other grandmother, Pastor Rosalie Lewis, Solid Rock, Holy Mission Church. That was instilled in me through that grandmother to have compassion and love for other people. So, with that being said, and it just don't even get no better. So, with that being said, I'm glad I have that kind of stuff instilled in me. Yeah, because, caregivers don't get bereavement. We don't get bereavement leave for emotional echoes. Like when our residents pass away, and we mourn them while we at work. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get to take 3 days off because Miss Bernice had died. Miss Trina don't get 3 days off. She ain't immediate family. That ain't that girl, ain't it? That ain't that girl grandmama. So I wouldn't, get that time off, but I did. I mourned while I was at work. But you couldn't tell it on my face. You couldn't tell it through my demeanor, but you could tell it through my actions, the way I took care of my remaining residents. Because in my mind, I don't want to let now another one die. So I have to take care of these people to the best of my ability, to keep them alive, to keep their family happy, to keep them happy, to keep them thriving, to keep them going. So when the Lord do take them away, when their time comes, then I won't feel so bad about it. I won't feel so, hurt behind it. But that's a lie. Because then Mr. Thompson had died. Baby, I was in there slanging snot like that was my granddaddy. You know, it just all depends on the compassion that you have for people. It all depends on the compassion that you have for this job. Because, you know, this job is something else, baby. Caregiving will expose you to the rawness of humanity. I'm talking about the grief, the trauma, the joy, the resilience, and it just soaks into you. It just does. It soaks into you. And if nobody told you lately, it's okay to grieve in layers. It sure is. It's okay to grieve in layers. 'Cause I had to learn that in my 20s. You know, it's okay to grieve in layers. To feel tender. To feel tired. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you real. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. A patient passed away of yours that you cared about, even somebody that you didn't. It could have been another CNA's patient, but you know that patient. You know, you can't help but cry. You can't help but shed tears to respect the life that was. You know, and you honor that person. Well, I honor all of my residents that passed away by being 150% with the next person, by being 180% with the next person, by being 200% with the next person. You know, just to, not so much to make myself feel good, but to make them feel good and let them know that it's somebody here that care for them and they can keep going, they can keep living. Or if, you know, the time come when they get to the point where they don't want to. Because I've had those conversations before with patients. When they get to the point where they don't want to, you can't do nothing but respect that. Because the life they had was long and happy. The life they lived was theirs to live. And if those conversations ever come up or whatever, you just be who you're supposed to be, which is a listener, first and foremost. Now, so, breathe with me because that was a lot. Let's name it, okay? This job is beautiful and brutal. My words. Sacred and stretching, okay? And we deserve a space to acknowledge that. And guess what? This here is your space. This the space. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that we don't learn when we step into a CNA school or a CNA class. It's a lot of stuff that we don't learn. But what we learn along the way, you know what I mean? What we learn along the way. So, now, here's the flip side. The curriculum we didn't ask for, but now carry like armor. Caregiving sharpened my intuition like a blade, it did. I know when somebody's hiding pain behind a very cool, I'm fine. I've learned that resilience isn't loud, it's in the way we show up again. Being resilient, to keep going, to have an ugly day and want to go back the next day. To have a confrontation with a fellow CNA or nurse, co-worker, or anybody at work and still show up the next day. You know what I mean? We have to put on that little, I call it a second skin. When they say armor, I say second skin. See, we be learning a patience that a textbook just can't teach. We learn about time, not just clocks, but timing. Man, if I don't tell you timing is important. Timing is important, especially when you're short-handed. Timing is important. And we learn to love, but we love differently though. You know, wilder, more consciously. You know, like our love for Mr. Johnson goes deeper than him having diabetes. It's deeper because he got dementia also. You know, he forgets to eat. He forgets what not to eat, and we have to be there to guide him on that. And that's a pretty good thing within itself. If that's what you feel and your compassion is that strong. And trust me when I tell you this, you don't leave caregiving the same way you came into it. If you ever walk away from it, trust me, baby, it's going to walk with you. It's coming with you, because I know I'm in the hospital recovering from 360 back surgery. 360 back surgery. And you know what I did with called one of my co-workers at work. Be like, girl, what them people doing up there? But it ain't none of my business. I'm supposed to be in here recovering, okay? I'm in here needing to see about my own self, but I'm calling the facility to see about my people. So, I just want you to ask yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, what has caregiving taught you that no one could have prepared you for? And if you feel called to share, please share it. Share it. Leave me a message on this, baby, because I want to hear your voice in this space too. I would like to hear it. Because, you know, we all be want to give up sometimes. You know we do. You know we do. So, you know, with that being said, let's not. Really. Let's not give up. So, as we close this out, you know what I'm saying? I really, really do hope all you young, new caregivers feel seen. Whether you deep in the trenches or just starting out or recovering from a season of giving, know this, okay? You are not alone. And every lesson you learn in silence deserves to echo in the community. You know? So next week, you know, I'm doing a 3-part series, you know, on caregiving. I actually forgot the name of it, but I know this is Care Conversations. But it's a 3-part series for new CNAs, new in-home caregivers, or older in-home caregivers. If you want to stop by and check me out, stop by and check me out. You know, comment, like, subscribe, or by all means, share it. Share this with somebody that you think would need to hear this or would be interested in my podcast. So, and if this episode has sparked something in you, pass it forward. Like I said, share it, post a tag a caregiver who needs this kind of reminder today. So, until next time, protect your peace, nurture your heart, and keep showing up for the quiet truths that hold us all together, people. And remember, always continue to help and love each other.